Hello, family, friends, and fellow adventurers. I am LP Bailey, your Acoustic Adventurer. I know that when we met here last Monday for the very first time, for our very first episode of Fireside Chats, I got an opportunity to do a little bit of an introduction. In our time together today, I would like to talk a little bit about Celtic traditions and how Samhain morphed into what we call Halloween today. Samhain is a period of time between the end of fall and the beginning of winter. In the Celtic culture, it is believed that that night is where the veil between the living and the dead is the thinnest. It is the chance where the dead can cross over. They can connect with the living. So for the living that wanted to connect with family members that had passed, they would carve a turnip. In that turnip, they would place a coal. That coal would light the way for good spirits. They would also do what at the time was called guising. Today we would call it disguising. That is face paint or masks or makeup or a way to deter the evil or the trickster spirits from coming towards them. So Samhain is that period of time right between the end of fall and the beginning of winter. The wall between the living and the dead is very thin. They can cross over. We want to invite in the good spirits. We want to repel the bad spirits or the tricksters. Centuries, maybe thousands of years after the Samhain Celtic tradition had been established, we are then introduced to the mythology of Stingy Jack. Stingy Jack was not a good person. He was a drunkard. He was a trickster. He was ill-tempered. One night when coming home from a bar, after having way too much to drink, Stingy Jack comes across an individual. One night after a little too much to drink at a local tavern, Stingy Jack was stumbling home, and he came across a man who had no food and no place to lay his head. In a very rare moment of empathy, Stingy Jack offered his home and his food and his roof to that individual. It turns out that individual was an angel and granted Stingy Jack 3 wishes. Unfortunately, Stingy Jack utilized those 3 wishes to punish those that he felt had or would do him wrong. And because of that, he would never be allowed into heaven. He went on to try to trick the devil. There are a few variations of the tale. One, he tricked the devil to not take his soul for 7 years. The other is he beat the devil in a betting contest. But the end result is that he was neither allowed into heaven nor into hell. So Stingy Jack was cast to wander eternity in what today we would call purgatory, that space between heaven and hell, with a turnip carved with a coal inside to light his way. Because of the potato famine, millions of Irish came to America, and they brought with them the mythology of Stingy Jack, their tradition of Samhain, and the tradition of carving turnips with coals or ambers inside of them to light the way. They quickly found out that pumpkins are a far more plentiful and easier palette with which to carve their faces for Halloween. So they began utilizing pumpkins to put the coal or the lamp inside. What originally was going door to door and singing in exchange for maybe apples or things of that nature became trick-or-treating, knocking on doors in exchange for a treat. These days, it's candy. It all started with Samhain. The American tradition of Halloween is rooted in the Celtic tradition of Samhain. Carving turnips and placing coals or ambers inside of them became carving pumpkins and placing lights or lanterns inside of them. Guising to keep our spirits away became costumes. What used to be door-to-door for apples in exchange for song has become door-to-door in exchange for candy and trick-or-treating. Of all the time we're going to spend together, of all the holidays that we're going to discuss, Halloween is definitively my favorite, both as an Irish and as an American. This Friday, when we do Lyrics from the Vault, I'm going to share with you some songs I've been working on that talk specifically about these traditions and how these beliefs were brought to America to become the holiday that we enjoy today. So join me here Friday for Lyrics from the Vault. Between now and then, it's a great day to have a great day.